Hi, it's John and welcome to the channel. It is Tuesday, April the 1st, 5:19 a.m. with the big blue mug of coffee. It is April Fool's Day today. Don't forget, if you fill up your tank today and prices have dropped a little bit because the consumer carbon tax has gone, be sure to thank Pierre Poilievre. It's because of him that's gone down. Don't allow the Liberals to take a victory lap today. So today I've got something a little bit different for you. I woke up in a bit of a quandary. What am I going to talk about today? Big news yesterday was Mark Carney rolled out his communist-style government housing program.
We're getting government back in the business of building affordable homes. Acting as a developer, Build Canada Homes will work with industry to build affordable homes at scale, including on public lands. We'll make good on the promise to unlock federal lands for home building on a post-war scale. Build Canada Homes will also provide $10 billion of low-cost financing to builders to construct deeply affordable homes for those most in need, as well as housing for students and seniors.
Where he really did contrast himself from what Pierre Poilievre is doing. Poilievre's plan has been to eliminate the gatekeepers, and that means less government control. And when I thought about that today, I thought about a saying from a famous politician of the past, and I'm going to do that today and use a few quotes from the great communicator Ronald Reagan in this video. All right? I've got 3 of them for you. But before we get to that, let's go back not too long ago and let's find out what the Liberal policy was when it came to building housing in this country.
And I'll be blunt as well. Housing isn't a primary federal responsibility.
You probably know that clip. It wasn't very long ago that he said that. So what has changed? Why, all of a sudden, are the Liberals talking about housing? That's because a leader came along. A leader with vision who wants to make things better for you. The leader is Pierre Poilievre. I've said many times on this channel that Poilievre has been leading the government for a couple of years. He's led on a number of different issues, and certainly on this one. Until Poilievre started talking about housing, housing wasn't a government responsibility. I mean, Mark Carney wouldn't have walked out yesterday and talked about this if it wasn't for Pierre Poilievre leading on this issue, and he's been leading on this issue for a very long time. The Liberals have cocked things up when it comes to housing in this country. They've let far too many people into the country. Too many people, too few houses, housing prices go up. Supply and demand, right? So what their plan is to fix all the other plans that screwed up for them. They've got what are called the Canada Housing Infrastructure Fund, Canada Housing Accelerator Fund. They've hardly built any houses, big government agencies, lots of bureaucracy, lots of money, absolutely nothing, which made me think of another one of my favorite Ronald Reagan quotes, and here he is here. This goes back to 1964. A Time for Choosing, I think, was the name of the speech. Listen to what he says here.
And the more the plans fail, the more the planners plan.
I love that saying. And, government has already created a number of housing programs in this country. Canada Housing Infrastructure Fund, Canada Housing Accelerator Fund. Both of them have failed. They haven't built many houses, and they spent billions of your dollars employing hundreds of people, no doubt, pushing paper around to get nothing done. The more the plans fail, the more the planners plan. And Carney's is just these other plans on steroids. Complete government control of housing. And we should open this up to the private sector. That's what it should be about. The private sector can do this better than government. I'll get to my next Reagan quote in just a moment. But what is Carney's plan? Well, he laid all this out just a year ago in the Globe and Mail. Here's Cosmin Zerdza. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. I apologize if it's not correct. And he rightfully says, Carney laid out his affordable homes plan in a Globe and Mail op-ed last year. He wants to tear down single detached homes, remove density limits, and build government-run housing projects with no parking. Young Canadians dreaming of owning a home deserve better than this. I sit here in Southeast Calgary. I've got a modest house, nice little backyard. My flowers are going to start growing pretty soon, and that's what your dream is. That's not what Mark Carney's dream is. Remember, he's the climate zealot as well. So he wants to make sure he controls where you live, where you can go, what you can eat. All of these things are his plans. Here's the article right here. Special to the Globe and Mail, Mark Carney. This was just over a year ago on March the 14th. I'm not going to read this whole thing to you, but let's go over here and let's read this first slide that Cosmin put up here. First, we need to build up rather than out. That means no semi-detached or single detached housing. Focus housing growth in cities and communities where there is existing infrastructure such as roads, water lines, libraries, and community centers is faster, less costly, and more climate friendly. To enable building in these areas, we need to legalize density. It simply would be easier for a home builder to turn a 75-year-old bungalow into a cluster of townhouses or an aging strip mall into a modern and affordable mid-rise apartment complex. So there you go, folks. No backyard for you. To do that, government should eliminate unit maximums, abolish parking minimums, and allow taller buildings and more density near transit lines as of right. So that is Mark Carney's plan for you. Complete government control, and you're going to live in a box. No house. And that's not what Poilievre's talking about. He wants to build a home. What would Ronald Reagan have to say about this? And here's his famous saying. You probably saw this one coming a mile away.
Government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
No matter what you may think of Ronald Reagan and his politics, he sure was quotable, and boy, could he deliver a line. They called him the great communicator. Now, I've got another clip coming up from Reagan in just a moment. I'm going to tie that in with a group of people who could be dooming this country to generations of problems. So stay tuned for that. It's a less well-known clip. I might end with another clip as well. Maybe I'll make it 4 from Reagan. But before I do that, I think Pierre Poilievre is really missing out in an opportunity to show how much of a leader he really is. I've mentioned 2 things in this video. Right off the top, I talked about the carbon tax. It was his crusade that led the Liberals to get rid of the carbon tax on the consumers today. The other thing is housing. They wouldn't be talking about housing if it wasn't for Pierre Poilievre. Why is he not taking credit for these things? He's led on car theft. Liberals didn't mention. I've said this before in my videos. Car theft, crime, drugs, other things as well. So he should be using this to his advantage in this election campaign. So the last clip from Reagan, I'm directing towards the boomers. An article in the National Post talking about how the boomers, it's not about ideological lines here in this election, it's generational. And the boomers, sitting back in their nice homes, mortgage paid off, car paid off, pension, everything's just fine for them. They've retired, and they're going to sell the country down the river for elbows up and Canada Strong and Mark Carney. And they're going to sell out their grandkids as well. So listen to Ronald Reagan in this clip. I think this one is pretty right on point.
But great as our tax burden is, it has not kept pace with public spending. For decades, we have piled deficit upon deficit, mortgaging our future and our children's future for the temporary convenience of the present. To continue this long trend is to guarantee tremendous social, cultural, political, and economic upheavals.
That's from the inauguration in 1981. Amazing to hear the man speak. And he's right. Deficit after deficit, mortgaging our future for some temporary convenience. That's you, boomers. You're selling the country and your grandchildren down the river for some temporary convenience. I know this is a little bit different. I appreciate you watching. I really do. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell for notifications. I'm going to play one more Reagan clip, a famous one from him for sure, and I'll see you in the next one.
I think you all know that I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.